What is going on? I'm Steve. Hope you're doing just awesome today. So if you've never thought of Billy Joel as a guitar player or having a rock and roll band, I mean, that's wrong. You know, he's awesome at piano, but so many great songs right there. Even the tender ones, the sweet ones, like She's Always a Woman to Me, that's a blast to play on guitar with a capo on the 3rd fret. So why don't I just shut up and let's get to some Billy Joel. All right, first up, let's play You May Be Right. It's got this really sweet intro riff. Starts rocking Saturday night. Isn't that fun right there? So it's in A major, and let me just jump right to those iconic notes. Give it a big strum on A major and go like this. 3rd fret of the high E string, 2nd fret, and then 3rd of the B, open high E string, and then hit the 2nd of the G. And you put it all together. Do that little spider thing right there, you know. Practice that over and over again, and you'll start rocking it. And then it goes into A major. Maybe some palm muting. A couple double strums to E major. Big strum out. B minor. She was only having fun. G major to E major again. Any other. And then you go back, you know. Goes into the next one. Alone in Your Electric Chair, E major, B minor, G, and I wouldn't have it any E major any other way. A. So instead of doing all those notes right there when it goes back to A major, you may be right. You know, give it a pop and some palm muting, and then you go to E major, and I'll show you the easy and the cooler / harder way to do it. So you may be right. But the cooler way to do it would be when you go to E, go like this. Like that. So instead of playing a regular E major, you go in the low parts by laying this finger down on the 2nd of the A and D strings, and go to the 3rd fret of the low E, and hammer it onto the 4th, and now go to the 2nd of the A string, and then 4th, back to 2nd, and then right there, 2nd of the D. So like that. So how does it go? You may be right. And then do the same thing on A. So take those exact same fret positions and all that, and just move to the A string and the D and the G. Turn out the light and try to save me. For all I know, D, E, A. That's it. You know, you may be wrong and you may be right. Like that. Rocking the whole way through. Okay, this next one is so beautiful. It's She's Always a Woman to Me in C major with a capo on the 3rd fret. Now, parts of this are a little bit complicated, but I believe in you. You got this. Let's go. Amazing is that? So C major, and you're mostly hitting the middle parts from the A string up to the B string right there, and get this kind of rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, like that. Very cool. Once you get that down, go like this. So you're in a C major, you Strum it a little bit, and then remove that finger and hit the 5th fret of the D string. You're already in that C major position. You've left your fingers right there. And hammer that D onto the 6th fret while hitting the rest of that, C major, that open G and 4th fret of the B, and back to the same thing we just did, the part of a C major, and then do a G. And by doing a G, you're just moving these fingers down there and then back to the C. So check this out. Like that to a G. So. And now we're ready for the verse. C, G, C, C. And I'll show you something in a second. So that same little walk down. G, C, G, E major, A minor. Does this little walk down that I'll show you in a second. F, G, C. Now those are the chords right there in the verse. So I'll break it down a little bit slower. Ready? G, C, G, C. And right here it goes C. Isn't that cool? Instead of just hanging out on C forever, go C major and just lift that finger up and hit the 6th fret of the low E string right there and back to a C major. So, she's nobody's fool. And now you go right there again to that 6th fret of the D string. So instead of hammering it on that time, you just go right to the 6th fret of the D string with the open G and open B and walk it down. You're in a C major shape, so that 5th fret of the D string, you're just not hitting the low part. So nobody's fool. G, C, G, E major, A minor, and to do that little walk down, you put your finger right there on the 6th fret of the low E string to F. She's always hit the low parts of an F major to G, woman to me, C. Now it does this little walk down as we go into the chorus. Ready? Very nice. So C major, and you do this little walk down to get to the A minor. C major, remove those 2 fingers and put that on the 5th fret of the A string and just hit the rest of that C major, or at least that finger right there, and then to A minor. And that's when it goes, oh, and now you're putting that finger back on that 6th fret. We're doing another walk down from A minor to that 6th fret of the low E string, but this time you put your thumb on the 5th fret and go to a D major. Isn't that nice? The thumb is what really makes it. So it goes, oh. So the thumb on that 5th fret and the rest of the D major, she takes care of herself, G. And then you gotta remove these fingers and put one of them on the 4th fret of the low E string and strum everything else in between. Doesn't sound that great, and maybe a pinky would be easier. To an E minor, just for a second. To an F major, and if you can hit the play it with your thumb to hit the open E string, to a D minor, up to a G. She takes care of herself. C. Okay, that's not that easy, but if you want to get even harder, here's the problem. The song goes to a C minor, and you've got all this mega stretching all over the place. So I got a trick for you. We're gonna do something very unusual. You're gonna move the capo in the middle of the song. There might be a little break, but if you can practice it and nail it, people will be like, oh my gosh, what just happened? What did he or she just do right there? So we're gonna go right here to the 3rd, up 3 frets, and then we're gonna go right back into an A minor. So check this out. So you're going, sorry, D minor. Pretty wild, right? So you went from 3rd fret to the 6th fret, but you stay in the same thing. So instead of having to learn a whole new thing, you're going to an A minor here, and you're doing the exact same thing. To D right there, D with that thumb this time on what, the 8th fret? Same thing we just did. G, E minor, F major, and this time when you remove that thumb, you go to a B7th, E major. What do you think about that? So you had a moment on that time to get back the capo on the 3rd fret and get to the C major. Now we're back where we started. Man, that thing is really cool. Then it just keeps going. E major, A minor, that little walk down. She's always F, G, a woman to me. Try that capo switch and tell me how you do. And last up, get ready for a fun one to play. Who remembers this iconic note from the radio? It's still rock and roll to me in C major. All right, I'm gonna come and show you all that in just a second, but let's start off with that note. You're on the 3rd fret of the A string. Get that kind of rhythm and palm mute it like that. Throw in some triple clicks and triple, picks like that, and get ready to put this finger on the 5th fret of the D string right there. So start off with that, just that A string on the 3rd fret, and bring in that one a little bit right there on the 5th fret of the D, still palm muted, and kick into it. C major. You're going to an E minor, but instead of playing a regular E minor, you're going to take that exact same shape and go up to the 7th of the A string and 9th of the D string right here, while hitting that open E string a little bit. Don't overdo it right there because you're trying to, hit those notes. So check this out. C. Hear that little slide? Pretty cool. You go. And then hit that open E right there. So one more time. Now take that exact shape and go down to a B flat. You're on the 1st of the A string and 3rd of the D and G strings. And now you take that same shape again, just move strings right there on the same frets to an F major, and do it again. And now you're gonna hit open everything, but hammer it on to an E minor. Cool little rhythm. And now A minor. And you can open everything and hammer it on. Back to E minor. To D major. G, like that. And then you go C, E minor, B flat. Sometimes I use my thumb. B flat, F, A minor, still rock and roll, G to C. Now let me show you that fast. Ready? It goes E minor. You can do that if you want to B flat, F, and here's the chorus. E minor, A minor, E minor, D, G, C, E minor, B flat, F, A minor, G, C. Now we're ready for the next part where it goes. Very cool. I'm going to show you 2 different ways to play it. Neither of them are really hard at all. They just look hard. Ready? So it goes C major, and you get this big down to G, and you can either build up, some push, downstrokes like that to get into the G, or the full strumming like that to G. G, F, E major, A minor, back to G, F major, E major, and now you go to an A flat. Take that F shape, put it on the 4th fret, A flat, and now you go here to an E flat, like that. And if you can, like that, you're going E flat kind of shape, same bar chord. It looks harder than it is, but you're just playing the low bar chord parts. And if you can, add from the 8th to the 10th of that D string, and you go up 2 frets and up 2 more frets, and back down to C, like that. You know, in regular C, or do the one we started out with. But another way to do it would be go E, A flat, and then you still do that E flat, and instead of going up 2 frets and 2 frets, you go to an F. So that's F to G and back to C, and now you're ready to go. And then it keeps going on, you know, next wave, new punk, old funk, whatever, it's still rock and roll to me. All right, tell me how you did on that song. What? She's Always a Woman to Me, and You May Be Right. What a great songs from him. And I'm going to do another 3-pack of Billy Joel soon. So love to see you around the channel. Later.